in in terms of the way that the system defines success, then that involves making a lot of money. That's being successful. Well, I'm here to dispute that, and I would like to point to actual reality. And actual reality involves being free entirely from money. And this being the only way humanity as a collective and individually will find true happiness, contentment, peace, joy, liberty, freedom, safety, and security. Because we can't have a system that's going to ever succeed in bringing about happiness for everybody across the board when it selectively chooses who is successful and who is a failure in terms of the way society defines success and failure. And of course, again, it all comes down to money. So I would like to start out by talking about basic economic principles that are imperative for everybody to understand. And terms like capitalism, socialism, communism are bandied about as means of division. And these terms really have little to no meaning at all. I think a term like egalitarianism would best describe the kind of economy that I say we as humanity, as a collective, must strive to attain. And in an egalitarian economy, you've got a system based on supply and demand. This is really the basis for capitalism. That what you've got is a system that's based on progress. The incentive being that if you are productive and you manufacture and create easier ways to meet your needs, then your burden should go down. Life should get easier. And that is as a civilized society, as a collective, as a civilization, okay, that's making progress, slow, steady progress toward freedom, financial freedom, and security across the board. And we have made great strides as a collective in making progress in terms of producing not only the things we need, like housing and sufficient food supplies and sufficient clean water, okay, but we've made great strides in producing all the niceties out there that we all enjoy, like driving our cars, like flying in an airplane, like a refrigerator, like a washer, a dryer, a dishwasher, a garbage disposal, plumbing, okay. Now the system would tell us that, in order to have these things, you need to be beholden to somebody else in order to maintain possession of these things, because that's the way it works. It's dollars and cents, and without the dollars you can't have those niceties, and furthermore you can't have those essential needs. And I'm here to tell you that humanity has been so propagandized and so inculcated into this paradigm, to this belief system, that you've got to have people left out of the loop. In order for there to be haves, there's just got to be a huge swath of have-nots. And I'm here to dispel that myth. And I want everybody to have fundamental understanding of basic economic principles. And it is so simple, it really is a case of people not being able to see the forest for the trees. And I'm reading this great book my daughter gave me, on Buddhism. But I do beg to differ with some of the logic and the overall philosophy of Buddhism, because it is very passive and very self-centered. It's, just all, concern yourself, everything's your problem, internalizing everything, and, all this stuff. And, a lot of it has to do with breathing and calming the nervous system, and I can understand that. Now, I can appreciate, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I'm a very proactive guy because I fundamentally understand that unless we confront the forces of darkness, like it says in the Bible, I believe it's in Ephesians, that our battle is not against flesh and blood, because, this is an all-inclusionary thing. This is why it's a program of attraction and not of promotion, because when you're on the side of right, you can't be wrong. You can hold debate with anybody on any subject, and you'll always come out ahead. Not that this is a, hey, I'm right, you're wrong sort of thing. It's not about that, but it's just about dispelling myths. It's about pointing to mathematical principles and saying, look, this can work because it all comes down to math. It's problem solving when it comes to economics. We've got to confront the forces of darkness. That's what it comes down to. It says our battle is not against flesh and blood in Scripture, but against principalities, against authorities, against the forces of darkness in high places. These are the people that need to be confronted. These are the money printing class. This is the whoring, corrupt political class. I don't care, Democrat, Republican. Look, these people just have a different method of bringing the same madness, the same chaos. It's all about maintaining problems. This is how they maintain control. It's through selective austerity, through artificial scarcity, okay, but through intentional, deliberate impoverishment of the masses, as much as they can get away with. They'll push the envelope. And then they know in their minds they've got to keep this critical mass of people subservient, that are happy and that are content with the system. This is the status quo. So you see, they do this by keeping the stock market high, and they get enough people, just enough to have that critical mass on their side, that are invested in the establishment. And they say, hey, it's all good. We don't care how my 401k went up, whether it was dubious warfare or whatever. All I know is it went up, and, I'm trusting the system, so I'm the smart guy. And you know what? You guys can go blow chunks because it's working for me, and just get a life, practice Buddhism, just be passive, go along to get along, even though the wealth disparity continues to grow, the problems continue to not only be maintained, but and persist, but actually to flourish. Poverty explodes, more and more desperation. We got more and more of a demand on the social welfare system. More and more people keep falling through the cracks. We've got a snake eating the tail, and at the tail end of the snake is the poor. Okay, this is the car crash. It's happening in slow motion. We've hit the wall. Okay, we've hit the wall repeatedly. All the nails are in the coffin of America. The good ship America is sunk. It's just that not enough people have realized it yet. And as long as the money printing class and the corrupt, whoring, banking, political class can get away with it, they will. They'll keep Americans in debt. Now remember, it's not falling on the backs of the haves, because they're the haves. Okay? They're the ones that are entrenched in the system, well vested, and they see their portfolios growing. Okay, so it's not going to come out of their behinds. So you ask, well, how does it come out of the behinds of the poor when you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip? And they're already dead in this car crash. They're the ones that have been hit first. Well, through attrition, that's true. That the very weakest links have died. They're dead and gone. And so a surviving class is rising up. So these people know the wall's been hit. And they know, well, you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip, but we'll keep trying. We'll keep on, trying to get the rent up. You notice the overlords, which is the modern day landlord, they keep on pushing the envelope. Now that they've been released from their cruel socialist masters, okay, where we had a semblance of consumer protection, and that many people will label communism with rent control, okay, which is, this is basically protecting the poor. Is it okay, to have these criminals running our lives, creating our policy, and giving all the protection to them? Look at what was the banking bailout of '08? The too big to fail, too big to jail. That was direct socialism, direct welfare of the most criminal sort. They just stole the wealth. And then we complain about people like in Ferguson doing looting. I don't approve of that. I don't excuse it. But I'm saying this is the role model they've got. It's essentially what these criminals have done. And they'll keep the American public, individually and collectively, in debt in perpetuity because of their criminality. Okay, the wealth exists. Who created the wealth? The poor created the wealth. Through working in factories, through creating stuff we could trade, through building our infrastructure and our factories, our roadways, our bridges, our sewer systems, our water systems, our electrical grid. Okay, all the stuff coming out of the factories. Okay, regular working class people, many without an education. And all you people that think just because you got an education, you're so great, I've got no respect, I've got no regard for you if you're well educated, if you're not an egalitarian. To me, you're just another pissant. Looking after old number one, dog eat dog, rat race, man. You're just falling into that trap of social Darwinism. Well, all these people are careening over a cliff. All this tyranny, all this, this madness of, just cruel inhumanitarianism, anti-egalitarianism thinking is just all the same collective evil. Okay, and all you people are going down and good will prevail. So you see, I am very optimistic because I'm talking about the inevitable. The inevitable is that the worm is turning. It's going to turn, but they're going to make it look like that's not going to happen. The poor have lost. We're going to have a caste system whereby we're envying the poorest of poor in India or in Latin America or in Africa. We'll not call America a third world country if these people have these ways, this elitist scum class. We're going to have a fourth world or fifth world economy in America. So stand up, speak out, and speak truth to power. And if that means your landlord, that means your landlord. Your landlord is, again, your modern day overlord. So you've got to say, no, I can't take it anymore. You're not raising my rent. I need a rent reduction. I'm trying to survive here, for crying out loud. Help me, I beg you, mercy. That's how you've got to start talking to your overlord, your landlord. Okay, because these people are entrenched with these corrupt money printing, the political whoring class, these murderous gaggle of thugs, okay, where people are dying in mass out in the streets, out in the cold, and yes, I'm angry, okay? I want to talk a little bit about, discerning what is necessary human suffering from unnecessary human suffering. And necessary human suffering is feeling this bitter cold. You notice I'm doing my video indoors today because it's bitter cold outside. It's at freezing out there, maybe a little above now that the sun's come up. But I'm telling you what, if there wasn't room in the poorhouse tonight, okay, there's people dying out in the cold. All right? That's a matter of fact. Across America, look at the statistics of how many people are going to die out in the cold, falling through the social welfare cracks. Okay, that's snake eating its tail, devouring the poor. That's what's happening. Yeah, you middle class, you should be afraid. You should be afraid if you've neglected the concerns of the poor, because you're the next guy up. Okay, once all the meat has been gnawed off the bones of the poor, who do you think they're coming after? It's you. Of course it's you. You're the next one up. You're the next easy prey. You're the next weak link in the chain. Of course you are. So who do you care about? Just about old number one speaking out on behalf of the middle class? You notice I'm always speaking out on behalf of the poor, because often the poor don't have a voice. They don't have a camera. Okay? They don't have a computer. They don't have the niceties that I can afford. And I'm not middle class. I consider myself poor. But I'm not among the abject poor, the poorest of poor. And I'm scared. Yeah, I could be just like them. I'm homeless at heart. I've been that way for many, many years, for decades. I've seen their side of the coin. And I say, oh my God. Ever since I understood that Jesus said, You know who I want to take my place? I want it to be the poor. Okay, this disciple that acted like he cared so much about the poor that he was against the perfume being poured out on Jesus, preparing him for his burial. Okay? And Jesus says, oh no, you don't give a crap about the poor. You care about the poor you're going to have. You watch. Jesus knew. He knew that once he was gone, okay, that once he was murdered,